News tonight, 2 suicide bomb attacks kill at least 31 people in Damascus as Syrian rebels boycott peace talks in Astana. Iraqi forces take control of a key bridge and are moving steadily towards Mosul's Grand Mosque. And the Dutch test their tolerance for immigration in an election overshadowed by a furious war with Turkey. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. Syrian peace talks in Kazakhstan closed after rebels boycotted the meeting. The deadlock comes as a deadly double suicide bombing marked the start of the civil war's 7th year. More in this report.
Syrian peace talks in Kazakhstan closed without any substantive negotiations taking place. Rebels boycotted the meeting, and the only concrete outcome from the third round of talks in Astana was an agreement between Russia, Turkey and Iran to meet again in early May.
Following the results of the talks, the agreement to conduct another meeting in Astana on May 3rd to 4th was achieved. This is a reasonable time for all delegations on trilateral level, Iran, Turkey and Russia.
The head of the Russian delegation said a proposal to set up a commission to draft a new Syrian constitution had been discussed. This, however, was swiftly denied by Syria's lead negotiator.
No official documents were released, as you can see. There are only ideas which were expressed about certain issues, but we did not discuss any of the documents except one, a document related to demining of historic city of Palmyra.
UN Syria envoy Staffan de Mistura said negotiations to end the war in Syria must speed up to avoid a 7th year of conflict. As the meeting was underway, 2 suicide bomb attacks killed at least 31 people and wounded dozens more in Damascus. State media said the first suicide bomber targeted the Palace of Justice, the main courthouse in central Damascus near the Old City. The second suicide blast struck a popular restaurant in Al-Rabwa area of Damascus to the west of the first attack, causing several casualties. Police said there were 102 injured in the courthouse attack and 28 injured in the restaurant. Hala Dababne for the News at 10.
In the cancer ward at Damascus Children's Hospital, doctors are struggling with a critical shortage of specialist drugs to treat their young patients. It's not just due to the general chaos of the Syrian civil war. Local and World Health Organization officials also blame Western sanctions for severely restricting pharmaceutical imports, even though medical supplies are largely exempt from measures imposed by the United States and European Union. 6 years of conflict have brought the Syrian health service close to collapse. Fewer than half of the country's hospitals are fully functioning and numbers of doctors have dived.
Because of the high pressure on the children's hospital, sometimes children have to wait for their turn for between 15 to 20 days, and this of course affects their illness, because they have to take their dosage every month or 2, according to their protocol. The longer the treatment is done, the worse the child can be affected.
8 people were killed and more than 50 wounded when a car bomb exploded in a crowded street in the Iraqi city of Tikrit. In West Mosul, Iraqi government forces took control of a key bridge over the Tigris River and are moving steadily towards the city's Grand Mosque. Police said the seizure of the Iron Bridge means the government holds 3 of the 5 bridges over the Tigris and that the battle is reaching its final stages. The bridge was captured by federal police and inter-ministry rapid response units. The gains were made in heavy fighting in which troops fought street by street against an enemy using suicide car bombs, mortar and sniper fire and grenade-dropping drones. Armed groups aligned with a UN-backed government in Tripoli took over a compound occupied by a rival prime minister early today after heavy fighting that spread to several parts of the Libyan capital. The offices of a television station sympathetic to the self-declared National Salvation Government were burned down in the clashes and the channel went off air. A hospital was also hit. Tripoli is controlled by a patchwork of armed groups that have built local fiefdoms and vied for power since Libya's 2011 uprising. Gunfights continued for much of yesterday in western Tripoli before spreading to southern neighborhoods after sunset. Heavy gunfire and explosions could be heard late into the night, with tanks and other heavy weapons deployed on the streets. Turkish police have detained 16 Syrians suspected of being members of Daesh in Turkey's Sanli-Urfa province. Reports said all were picked up in a simultaneous raids on properties in the southeastern area after a tip-off. Turkey launched a military incursion into neighboring Syria in August in a bid, it said, to push Daesh militants away from the border area. Its forces have since raided a number of suspected militant safe houses in Istanbul and other cities. A security crackdown that has intensified since Daesh was blamed for a nightclub attack in Istanbul on New Year's Eve. The Dutch tested their own tolerance for immigration in an election overshadowed by a furious row with Turkey. Voter turnout in the parliamentary polls was far higher than 5 years ago. According to a pollster, when polls had been opened for just over 6 hours, turnout was estimated at 33% compared to 27% at the last election in 2012. More in this report.
Voting has begun in the Netherlands in an election that has Europe on edge. Will the tide of populism help Geert Wilders, aka the Dutch Donald Trump, produce a similar shock? For Europe's establishment, his policies already have. Wilders wants to ban the Quran, close all mosques and take the Netherlands out of the EU.
This is our country, this is the Netherlands.
His far-right Freedom Party has been leading opinion polls, but Prime Minister Mark Rutte's centre-right party has recently gained ground. Immigration is the crucial issue, even more so given the diplomatic spat with Turkey. Rutte banned Turkish ministers from holding rallies in the country, prompting Nazi jibes from President Tayyip Erdogan. It's unclear who the row will favour. Even if it is Wilders, it's unlikely he'll be able to form a government. All other leading parties have ruled out working with him. But if he does win the most seats, it would still be a seismic shock for Europe ahead of elections in France and Germany later this year.
Here at home, the State Security Court handed down multiple hard labor prison terms against 5 persons it found guilty of committing terrorist acts and promoting the ideology of a terrorist organization. 3 of the convicts were given double 8-year hard labor prison terms, each one for promoting terrorist ideology and the other for trying to join these groups. Another received 2 8-year hard labor prison terms for trying to join Daesh and promoting its terrorist ideology. The 5th received a 7-year prison term for threatening to carry out terrorist acts and promoting the ideology of a terrorist group. The court also sentenced a Yemeni national to 15 years in jail with hard labor after he was condemned of carrying out terror attacks, and another Yemeni to a 1-year imprisonment for failure to inform about a terror activity. The Moral Guidance Directorate at the Jordan Armed Forces Arab Army organized a tour for representatives of Arab and foreign media outlets to view firsthand the task of the border guard. The journalists were also briefed about the humanitarian role of the troops in providing services to Syrian refugees at the Al Rukban camp on the northeastern frontier. Border Guard Director Brigadier General Barakat Al-Ajarmi said troops stationed at the border with neighboring countries can deal with any threat to the kingdom.
Our forces are deployed along the border with Syria, Saudi Arabia, Iraq and Israel, fully applying the rules of engagement. We have a network of surveillance cameras monitoring any movement on the frontier along a span of 22 kilometers. The protection of the border post and all the humanitarian agencies is one of the tasks of the border guards.
A new emergency ward will be built at Al-Bashir Hospital or Al-Bashir Government Hospital, which serves East Amman districts. Minister of Health Mahmoud Al-Shayab and Minister of Public Works and Housing Sami Halise, along with U.S. Ambassador Alice Wells, overviewed the location for the new building at the hospital. The health minister said the new facility will accommodate the rising number of Jordanian patients and those from other Arab nationalities seeking treatment, including Syrian refugees. The 22 million dinar building is funded by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. Meanwhile, Air Ambulance Center is offering medical transport service nationwide and trying to expand its services regionally. The helicopters in the center are mobile hospitals since they are equipped with the tools required to treat patients and to take them to hospital in a short time. The helicopters will not only be used inside the kingdom, but also to airlift injured people from neighboring countries for treatment in Jordan. The center was established upon a directive by His Majesty the King to provide air ambulance services across the country. Leaders of the U.S. House of Representatives Intelligence Committee said they do not believe Trump Tower was tapped during the 2016 presidential campaign. The FBI and NCA directors will testify at a hearing next week about that claim and any Russian meddling in the U.S. election. Republican Chairman Devin Nunes and the committee's top Democrat Adam Schiff told reporters they do not believe President Donald Trump's phones were tapped, as he asserted, without proof. But they said they want the FBI to provide any evidence at next Monday's hearing.
I want to say, as I told you last week about the issue with the President talking about tapping Trump Tower, that evidence still remains the same, that we don't have any evidence that that took place. And in fact, I don't believe, just in the last week of time, the people we've talked to, I don't think there was an actual tap of Trump Tower.
I want to join in saying that to date I've seen no evidence that supports the claim that President Trump made that his predecessor had wiretapped he and his associates at Trump Tower. Thus far, we have seen no basis for that whatsoever.
Liquid lava continued to flow at the Kilauea volcano on Hawaii's Big Island. It could be seen from above, forming what looked like a smiling face in the Po'o'o lava lake. According to the U.S. Geological Survey's Hawaiian Volcano Observatory, lava flow from the lake is entering the ocean and feeding surface flows on and above the palei or the cliff. The observatory said there was no risk to nearby communities from the lava flow. The Kilauea volcano has erupted since 1983. Molten lava is hotter than 900 degrees Celsius, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. A new eco-friendly boutique hotel with minimalistic design built with dozens of freight containers opened its doors for tourists at Gudauri Ski Resort in Georgia, some 200 kilometers from the country's capital, Tbilisi. The building features square room modules which are arranged on different levels. They are then connected to each other with open passages. The hotel has already experienced an influx of tourists due to its excellent location and stunning mountain views from the panoramic windows in every room. Three-time defending champion Novak Djokovic had reason to celebrate at Indian Wells. The second seed ran off the last 5 games to overcome big-hitting Juan Martín del Potro 7-5, 4-6, 6-1 in a bottom half of the draw stacked full of top players. The victory gave Djokovic a chance for revenge as he next meets young Australian Nick Kyrgios. Kyrgios prevailed 6-3, 6-4 over Alexander Zverev in an entertaining first tour-level meeting. Roger Federer moved into the last 16 at the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells. The 9th-seeded Swiss maestro ousted American Steve Johnson, who forced Federer into tie breaks in both sets before failing 7-6, 7-6. Federer will now face his longtime rival Rafael Nadal, who is the 5th seed in California this week. Nadal won earlier in the day against fellow Spaniard Fernando Verdasco 6-3, 7-5.
Game, set and match. Federer, 2 sets to 1. 7-6, 7-6.
And finally, cold and partly cloudy to cloudy tonight, with scattered showers accompanied with thunder and lightning in the northern, central and southern regions. Winds will be northwesterly moderate to brisk, raising dust in the southern and eastern regions. Tomorrow, temperatures will drop further, with relatively cold conditions in the hilly areas, but pleasant in the Jordan Valley and the Dead Sea with a high of 20 degrees. The Gulf Aqaba should expect a warm day tomorrow, with clouds at various altitudes, northerly winds and somewhat rough seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. And to end the news, here are top stories once again. 2 suicide bomb attacks kill at least 31 people in Damascus as Syrian rebels boycott peace talks in Astana. Iraqi forces take control of a key bridge and are moving steadily towards Mosul's Grand Mosque. And the Dutch test their tolerance for immigration in an election overshadowed by a furious war with Turkey. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Leo Balkar. Thank you for joining us.